Tell me the story of Jesus. Write on my heart every word. Tell me the story most precious, sweetest that ever was heard. Tell how the angels in chorus sang as they welcomed his birth. Glory to God in the highest, peace and good tidings to earth. Tell me the story of Jesus.
Hello, and welcome to The Detectives. My name is Ian, and today we're going to look at case number 6. Something that happened in the life of the most wonderful man who ever lived on this earth, and whose name was Jesus. And the story is called Go and Wash Your Dirty Face. Now, we don't know what Jesus looked like. All we know is that his mother was Jewish, that he was born in Bethlehem in Judea, and that therefore it is likely that he had dark hair and dark eyes, not blonde hair and blue eyes. We imagine, therefore, that he looked like this man. And for the purposes of our story, we're going to say that this was Jesus. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, but he was brought up in Nazareth. So when he began to teach people about God, and when he began to do amazing things, people called him Jesus of Nazareth. On this particular day, Jesus is walking down this road along with his disciples. Disciples were people who followed Jesus, who listened to what he taught, who helped him, and one day would teach other people the things that he had taught them. And as they are walking down the road, they see a man sitting beside the road, begging. You see, this man was born blind. And in those days, you didn't have any benefits from the government to help you, so you had to beg for your food or beg for money to buy things. So his disciples say to Jesus, "Why was this man born blind? Did his parents do something wrong and God was punishing them by giving them a blind baby? Or did he do something wrong and God was punishing him by making him blind at the beginning?" And Jesus said, none of that. This blindness has nothing to do with sin, doing things wrong before God. This blindness was given to him so that one day God would get glory from my helping him. And he bends down and he speaks to the man. And then he does something disgusting. I mean, Jesus did something disgusting. He spat on the ground, and with his spit he made mud from the dirt that was on the ground, and then he put it on the man's eyes. How disgusting is that? Just imagine if you tried to do that to somebody else, people would be very upset. How do you think this man felt? He's never met Jesus before. He's never talked to him. Jesus is a stranger. And suddenly he finds that this man, this Jesus, is holding his head and putting mud on his eyes. I wonder what he thought. What would you think? You would think, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like this. And then Jesus said to him, now go and wash your face. I imagine the man would have been thinking, why should I wash my face? You made it dirty. Why don't you wash my face? But Jesus was specific. Go and wash your face, your dirty face, in the water in the pool of Siloam. Now, there were many pools in Jerusalem in those days. One of them was called Bethesda, and we shall learn about that another day. But Jesus said the pool of Siloam. And the amazing thing is that the man did exactly what Jesus said. He asked for help from this young boy who took him to the pool of Siloam, who helps him to go down into the water, and who helps him to find the level of the water so that he can wash his face. And did he really need to wash his face? How dirty was his face? Just imagine how dirty it was. The sun has dried some of the mud and it is caked on his face. And I wonder if he thought, how many people laughed at me today? And why did Jesus send me to this pool? And why did he put mud on my face anyway? But he does what Jesus told him to do. He bends down and he washes the mud off his face. And he puts his fingers into the corner of his eyes and into his eye, under his eyelids, to get rid of the mud. And when he is finished and takes away his hands, lo and behold, he can see. He has never seen anything before. He can see trees. He can see water. He can see people. He can see the sunshine. He can see. And as he goes home, he is amazed at the beautiful world that is round about him. Sometimes you and I just accept what's round about us and we don't see how beautiful it is. I imagine this man today thought it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen in his life until he saw people. They're all excited for him. Isn't this the man who was born blind, who used to beg? Well, some people said, I don't think it is, because he can see. How did he manage to see? And other people said, yes, it is him. And they said to him, what happened to you? And he said, a man called Jesus put mud on my face and told me to go and wash, and now I can see. And I imagine as well that when he looked at some people and heard them speak, he said, I recognize your voice, but aren't you handsome? I've never seen your face before. And no doubt he said to the ladies as well, oh, what a beautiful face you've got, as well as a beautiful voice that I have heard. And everyone was excited for him. Well, not everyone. You see, there was a problem. The problem was this, that Jesus had made the man well, he had helped him to see on the Sabbath day. And you weren't allowed to do any work on the Sabbath day. The people who ran the temple and the people who preached the Bible said that you could work on 6 days of the week, but on the seventh day, the Sabbath day, you were not allowed to work. And Jesus had made this man better on the Sabbath day. So they call him to come and see them. And he goes to see them. And they say to him, what happened? Tell us. And he said, I put clay upon my eyes because a man told me so, and I washed, and I can see. Now, some of these men thought that's not possible. But even if it is possible, the person who told you to do that can't be a good man. What do you think of him? And he says, well, I think he's a prophet. Now, a prophet was somebody who had come from God. And these men said, no, this Jesus of Nazareth can't be a prophet from God because he wouldn't break the Sabbath day if he was from God. But maybe you're a fraud. Maybe you're a cheat. Maybe you were able to see all the time. So let's call his mum and dad. So they did. They sent for soldiers and said, we want to ask his mum and dad whether he was born blind or whether he's just trying to deceive us. So poor old mum and dad are brought in by the soldiers, and they come into the temple and they think, what have we done wrong? We haven't done anything wrong. Why are you taking us to the temple, you soldiers? And they come in. And the men who run the temple say, "Is this your son?" And they looked at him and said, "Yes." "Was he born blind?" "Yes." "Well, why can he now see? What happened to him?" And his mum and dad knew that if they said that Jesus had done it and they believed that Jesus was a special person come from God, they would get into trouble. So they said, "He's old enough to answer himself. You ask him what happened to him." So they asked him again. And he said, "This is a funny thing. I've already told you what happened to me. Do you really want to believe that Jesus is a special person from God, that you keep asking me these questions?" And the men were very cross with him. And they said, "We are telling you again that this man is a sinner because he made you break the Sabbath day, and he broke the Sabbath day." And the man says, "I don't know whether he's a sinner or not. All I can tell you is that once I was blind, but now I can see. But I don't think Jesus is a sinner. God wouldn't give him the ability to make me better if he was a sinner." And the men become very angry with him. And they say, "We're going to put you into trouble." "Why? What have I done that was wrong? I only washed my face." "It's not just that you washed your face. It's that you believe that Jesus is a special person. You must be one of his followers." And they said, "Get out of the temple. You are no longer welcome to worship here. Go." And the poor man has to go. And he hasn't done anything wrong, has he? All he did was listen to Jesus and do what Jesus said. Some people are happy when good things happen to us. Some people are not. So he is not allowed to come back into the temple. And the temple was the place where everybody went to worship God. And if you didn't go there, people weren't going to be your friends anymore. Jesus finds out that he has been thrown out of the temple, that he's not allowed to go back. And Jesus went and looked for him and found him. And Jesus says to him, "Do you believe on the Son of God?" And this man looks at Jesus and he says, "Who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him?" And Jesus said, "You have seen him, and you are talking to him." And the man said, "Lord, I believe that you are the Son of God." And he worshipped Jesus. How did Jesus make him see? How did he do that? He only put mud on his face and told him to go and wash. He didn't give him any medicine. He didn't give him any treatment. He didn't give him an injection. He made him better because the man believed Jesus and obeyed him. How did Jesus do that? Jesus did it because he is the Son of God, and God can do anything he wants to. And the man worships Jesus and says, "Thank you for giving me my eyes. Once I was blind, but now I can see." How did Jesus do that? He did it because although he was a man, he was also God, the Son of God. If you want to be a real Christian, you have to believe that Jesus was the Son of God as well. Not just that he was a good man or he did good things, but that he was the Son of God who came down into this world to seek and to save those who are lost. I believe Jesus is the Son of God. I hope you do too.
Fasting alone in the desert, tell of the days that are past, how for our sins he was tempted, yet was triumphant at last. Tell of the years of his labor, tell of the sorrow he bore. He was despised and afflicted, homeless, rejected, and poor. Tell me the story of Jesus, write on my heart every word. Tell me the story most precious, sweetest that ever was heard. Tell of the cross where they nailed him, writhing in anguish and pain. Tell of the grave where they laid him, tell how he liveth again. Love in that story so tender, clearer than ever I see. Say, let me weep while you whisper, love paid the ransom for me. Tell me the story of Jesus, write on my heart every word. Tell me the story most precious, sweetest that ever was heard.